Hi, I'm Katrina, and this is Boldly Challenging Ableism. I'm your host, Katrina Simons. I'm the Community Program Specialist at the Institute on Community Integration at the University of Minnesota. This program explores various topics that impact people with disabilities in our community. Each episode addresses a different aspect of our society within the context of ableism. Ableism is the prejudice that stems from the belief or belief system that assumes someone is less capable or less worthy because of a real or perceived difference in ability or function. On this program, we hope to answer some questions you may have been afraid to ask, or maybe some you didn't even know you had. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for coming back, Kathy. Today we're going to talk about, we're going to do part 2 of our waiver series. It's a 2-part series. Today we're going to talk about something called Waiver Reimagined. So if you didn't listen to part 1, which was last week, and you don't know what a waiver is, you might want to go back because this part will make a lot more sense. But maybe you want to do it on hard mode. I don't know. It's up to you. But this conversation will make a lot more sense if you know what a waiver is. So if you don't, go back and listen to part 1 if you want to. Thanks so much, Kathy, for being with us here today. Can you just give us a little recap on who you are in case we have people listening to part 2 that didn't listen to part 1?
Yes, so thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much. My name's Kathy Ware. I have a 30-year-old son that has a gene deletion called MEF2C haploinsufficiency syndrome. I have been a registered nurse for 25 years. I've worked as a waiver case manager and now a certified assessor. I am a Partners in Policymaking graduate, and I am active in the disability rights community.
Thank you so much. Can you talk to us a little bit about what consumer-directed community support is?
Consumer direction is just a self-directed program. So, and you can have any of the waivers and use self-direction or CDCS under any of the waivers. So you're on a waiver and then you select self-direction.
Okay, and that's right now. That we don't have to wait for the waiver for CFSS or for a waiver reimagined to happen.
Correct.
We can have that right now.
Yes.
Okay. What are some of the drawbacks to consumer-directed community support or CDCS?
The low budgets.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And how much lower are they?
If you were on, let's say, a caddy waiver, for instance, and you're on a traditional caddy waiver, the budgets can be, over $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, based on the person's needs and level of care, and what they get approved for. And then the same person on a caddy waiver for CDCS, their budget would be significantly lower than that.
Okay. Are you comfortable giving us a range of how much lower or not really?
It would depend on the case mix of the person, their level of care, but $50,000, $60,000 a year as a base budget.
Okay. So can you tell us what a case mix is?
So case mix is when your Min Choices assessor comes in and does the assessment, goes through all your activities of daily living and all your care needs. At the end of that assessment, the tool tells you what that person's case mix is based on the assessment process.
Okay, and the person themselves, or the person that is their guardian, or the person who is acting in their interest, if it's not the person themselves, like if the person needs more support, then that is not allowed to see the case mix, correct?
Oh no, anybody can see the person with disabilities, their legal guardian, anybody can know what their case mix is.
Okay, and do they know to ask for it usually?
It should come on their documents that they get from the case manager and from the assessor. So you are supposed to have that information. And if you don't, you can always request that they send that to you.
Okay. And when you request that they send it to you, do you call the person back that came to do your assessment? Or do you call the county, or who do you call?
You would call the person that did your assessment.
Okay. I'm asking because a lot of adults who are their own guardians and generally do that, are in charge of their own processes and things like that for that type of situation, they sometimes don't know what a case mix is, and then they get confused, and then they look for it and they can't find it. So it should be on the document that you get.
Yes, and either your case manager or the Min Choices assessor, either of them can give you all that information. Not hard to find, not hard to get for you. They can email you those documents or they can send them in the mail. And in fact, they're required to.
Okay, and for those same people, are they allowed to see their Min Choices assessment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, you can request copies. Officially, they will send you 2 of the documents that come from the assessment. But if you want more than that, you can request all of the documents.
So you can have like all the data that they took on you?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So just in case you find yourself in that situation, there you go. You can have all your data.
Yep.
Okay. Can you tell us what Waiver Reimagine is?
So Waiver Reimagine, the legislature put in to restructure the waivers from the system that it is now into a 2-waiver system. And that started before 2018. And so then DHS has been working on restructuring the Minnesota waiver program to look different and be different.
Okay. And do you think a new system is needed, or do you think we should just fix the old system?
I think we do busy work at DHS. I think my question is, who is it going to help? Who is it going to benefit? Is there one person's life that you can show me from either Min Choices 2.0 or Waiver Reimagine that this will improve their lives to be more included, more integrated, living more in their own home than a 4-person group home? I need to see that would be the outcome, and I don't see that as being the outcome. I see us spending millions and millions of dollars with that should be the outcome. It should be that we're creating a better environment for people with disabilities, and I don't see that as happening.
Okay. And why do you think we're moving to a two waiver system?
DHS paid consultants a lot of money to come in and review our system and give them recommendations. And so they went on these recommendations of a 2-waiver system based on where the person lives, in a congregate setting or in their own home. That's what the consultants said that DHS should do in Minnesota.
Okay, and they had done this in other states prior.
Yes, they had done this assessment process for other states and sort of come up with the same recommendations.
Okay. And why do you think that those are always the recommendations they come up with?
I'm not sure. You know, they're paid the big bucks to come up with those determinations, and I'm not sure.
Okay. So when a change like this happens or is set to happen, comment periods are legally mandated. They're a legally mandated part of the process by the federal government. Do you think that legal mandate was followed here when they were planning for Waiver Reimagine?
I don't think initially that it was. I got involved early on because they had it on the website, and who has time to go read 400-page documents? Not a lot of us, right? And so reading through and looking at what the individualized self-directed budgets would be under the new program, I knew that there was going to be huge problems, especially for people with physical disabilities, to be able to stay in their own homes. And so that was very, it was urgent to me. So I put a lot of time and effort into trying to talk to DHS and figure out what was going on and how to stop that from happening. So I've been writing letters, talking to DHS, talking to my legislators about it since 2018. Trying to get someone to kind of hear the problems that are going to occur. Because again, we go back to the unintended consequences things. They make all these changes, sweeping changes, and then they don't think of all of the situations that it can harm people. You were
in the group that was you were formed as part of the planning committee for Waiver Reimagine, right?
No, I was not. I testified in front of the legislature. I think it's been about 3 times now. And so I think the group of us who were initially testifying helped get the Waiver Reimagine Advisory Committee established. So I applied and was not allowed on the committee.
I did not know that. I apologize. I would have left that out.
That's okay.
And what are you most worried about with the current plan for Waiver Reimagine? That people won't be able to live in their homes?
Correct. I think it's going to cause more institutionalization, and people will end up in 4-person congregate care institutionalized facilities.
What do you think DHS wanted to have happen with Waiver Reimagine? Like, what do you think their goal for the outcome was?
Well, I think the overall goal was to simplify things. So they say that the goal was to simplify, but then I find us renaming things and making it more confusing and more complicated for people rather than simplifying or making it easier. I don't know why we need to rename things like we call adult corporate foster care now community residential services setting. Did that simplify it? I guess I don't know. We just renamed it. I don't know how that was simplified.
I think it made it politically correct.
Right. But it's the same setting. Didn't change the setting. We just changed the name of the service. We didn't change the service. We just changed the name. So I don't know how that simplifies. It just makes it more confusing. Oh, wait, now that's called this? And how does that help me or help a person?
Or even if it doesn't help me, how does it help anyone?
Correct.
Right. Do you think that DHS thought that simplifying it would make people's lives easier, or do you think it was more of a money thing?
I don't know for sure. I think they come in and they say, well, we're going to simplify things, and you get all these people on committees and different employed positions at DHS, and they just come up with new things, new strategies, new names. But again, I'm not necessarily focused on that. I'm focused on the outcome. Right. What is the outcome of all the things that we're doing? Min Choices 2.0, Waiver Reimagine. Whose life is going to be touched where they're more integrated, more included, living more in their own home? Who are we getting out of the 4-person group home to be able to live in their apartment with Waiver Reimagine? I want to know that. Why can't someone tell me that?
Do you see a world where we wouldn't need the 4-person group home if we adequately funded people living in the community? Do you see that? I mean, I know that's like all of our dreams.
Correct.
Do you see that actually coming to pass?
I think it can come to pass much more than it is today. Okay. Yes, I do.
We can make progress.
I think so. I have a lot of other parent friends, and our kids are older now. My son is 30. I have other friends whose kids are in their 30s, 40s. They have done everything in their power to get that person a home, right? Mm-hmm. So this person has a home. Why? Because their parent dies, do they suddenly have to move into a 4-person group home setting? Why aren't we figuring out how to staff that home that the parents worked to provide for their family member so that person can stay in that home? No one's talking about that. We're just automatically, the parent dies. Yep, that's where they go.
We did our part.
Yep, here you go. Here's your 3 to 4 times higher cost in most cases group home, versus making sure the person's staffed with the right set of people in their own home.
So do you, okay, we talked earlier, I can't remember if the podcast was on yet or not, but we talked earlier about accountability. Do you think that if we held people more accountable for where the money was going, that we are paying for group homes?
I think that DHS needs to be held accountable for that Department of Justice definition on segregated setting. And I think that if we read that, we all can sit and agree with each other that it defines a 4 to 5-person group home setting. That is a segregated setting. It's not an integrated or inclusive setting under any circumstance. Now, some people may want to be there, and if that's where they want to be, then that's they should have that as an option, right? Well, what I'm saying is there's no equity. You're not coming to me saying, well, you could live here in your own apartment with the staff that you need, or equally, you could live here in this 4-person group home. What would you choose? People this isn't even an option. Own home, own apartment. You are just filtered and shuffled into the 4 to 5-person group home. There is no real choice.
In 2000, I think it was 2009. It might have been a different year, but I'm pretty sure it was 2009. Minnesota, specifically the state of Minnesota, and I'm sure it happened in other states too, but specifically the state of Minnesota was found guilty of saying that they were providing people with choice when they were not doing that. And then as a result of that, we had people that received money as part of a settlement, and they were able to use that money in some cases to get better, not better, but more independence in their housing. Do you think this could be one of those situations where we're just renaming things to say that we're giving people choice, but we're not actually giving them choice, and maybe down the road we'll be found guilty of not following the definition of a segregated setting?
I would like to see Minnesota held accountable to that Department of Justice.
To that standard.
Yeah. I would like to see that accountability. I would like to see consequences. I say this all the time, that the state of Minnesota knows how to get direct support staff for people with physical disabilities because they do it in their state-operated systems. They pay $30 an hour to direct support staff with full state of Minnesota benefits. That's the only way they can get their MinSOCs group homes staffed.
What are MinSOCs?
Minnesota's state-operated system. So Minnesota operates their own 4 to 5 person site group homes, MinSOCs.
They do?
They do.
Who lives there? Sorry, I don't know this.
They do. Yes. And so, and they also operate some of the, they're paid for by MA. So they're actually ICFs. And so they know how to get staff for their places. If you just look on Indeed or look on the state of Minnesota website, they call them, this is where the naming of jobs goes awry, right? So there's behavioral modification technician, human services technician. Basically, they have to have a high school diploma or a GED. There is no educational requirement, but they get $30 an hour in full state of Minnesota benefits, health, dental, the works.
Okay, and the people that live there, do they have a higher need than other people?
Not necessarily. Not any higher than anyone living in a private owned or run congregate care setting. No.
But so what? Why do they exist then? If they could live in the existing places?
That's a good question. I'm not sure why the state of Minnesota operates their own group homes and their own facilities.
I didn't know that they did that.
Yeah.
And I'm very confused now.
Yeah.
I mean, not confused. I have so many more questions than I had before.
Well, and there also are the state hospitals that they hire the HSTs for and the BMTs for. And I think just the takeaway from that is people with physical disabilities are struggling to live in their own homes or their own apartments because they can't get direct care staff.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't get direct care staff because they're paid $19 an hour and they have zero benefits. But if we paid them what DHS pays their human services technicians and their behavioral modification assistants, $30 an hour with a full set of state benefits, then I submit that they could. I submit that they could get staff and live in their own home. But for whatever reason, the state isn't willing to provide a self-directed budget that would allow for that for people.
And do you think it's because they think they simply can't afford it?
I've been told that. I've been told that specifically. And to that I say, when I die, you will. Because there won't be anyone else to provide the informal care for Kylan. And so when I die, they will come up with $600,000-$700,000 a year to pay for him to be in a 4-person group home.
And then, but the money will not go towards Kylan's quality of life. The money will go to somewhere else, and we don't know where it will go.
On the television and not leave the group home except maybe for a doctor's appointment. And he'll probably die of a bowel obstruction within 6 months or a pressure ulcer. And that's the truth that nobody is willing to say.
That's really sad.
It's very sad. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I live with that every day, and I think I've got to live till I'm 90.
Well, people they just posted on Facebook like the oldest guy in the world. They got a new oldest guy in the world because the old one died because he was the oldest guy in the world. So maybe and he's like 116. So you have good odds. Good
Thank you.
odds. Well,
I'm gonna try.
Just eat the AG one, the powder.
Yeah,
I hear good things.
and vegetables. Lots of vegetables.
I don't know. I eat the knockout version from Amazon because I can't afford the powder, but. I don't know. Okay, so if you were if you were in charge of Ware Reimagine, and you were the one to redesign it, what would you do?
It's an excellent question, and I honestly have thought about it, and I don't have an answer for you. My answer is anything that, again, as I've said before, promotes more integration, more inclusion, and more of folks being able to choose their own apartment or their own home versus a 4-person group home. Any design that does that, I will support. Any design. But what they're doing now isn't that. It isn't that. They're even for people like Kylan who rely on, who are nursing hospital level of care. Right now, that level of care is mixed into his CDCS budget, right? So then that's helpful because then we can say, okay, well, how does that best serve us, right? And for Ware Reimagine, they're pulling that nursing out of the budget. So then forcing us to rely on a formal provider situation and then allowing us to self-direct less. That will devastate the plan that we currently have for Kylan and for families like ours.
Yeah, and you are very involved in like the Twin Cities. I would say the Twin Cities disability and chronic care communities. Are you guys talking about this among? Well, I shouldn't say are you guys because I am too. But are people, because it's different to be a parent than a person living with a disability? Are parents of people that have similar levels of need to Kylan? Are they having this discussion?
We are.
Okay, and do you feel like some clarity is coming to the people who are making the policies, or do you feel like they're not even listening to you yet?
I feel like I've exhausted
Okay.
all of my avenues,
Okay.
and I think sometimes my legislators are tired of hearing from me.
Okay, yeah.
I
think he's. I know your legislator very well. I don't think he's tired.
They might. They might
he
be
likes
tired.
you. He big fan. Big fan. He would wear the cheese head with your name on it.
Well, and I think DHS is a little tired of hearing
Well, they're kind of here
from me as well. But truthfully, I mean, I have the best of intentions as well, and I want people to have an actual choice in where they live and who they live with and how they live their lives. And we are not doing that now. So if this is an opportunity for us to do that, then let's do that. But let's actually give people a choice.
Okay. Well, we're out of time just about now. We have one more minute. But I want to thank you so much. And I want to ask you if there's something that people can do who are listening right now who want to help amplify your voice, because you have really good things to say. And not everyone does.
Thank you.
And you have really
thank
good
you
things
very
to say.
much. I would just say try to organize with people in your situation, whether it's online, get together with other people. And again, call your legislator, make an appointment. Don't send an email. Go make an appointment, sit with them in a room and say, here are my concerns. And let them put a face to your concerns.
Okay. Thank you so much. And just in case you need a refresher on how to find out who your legislator is, you can go online to you could say, how do I find my legislator? And it'll come up on Google. So it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to tell anyone, because I know when you forget who your legislator is, it's kind of embarrassing to be like, who is it? Because usually when I forget who someone is, it's like way after I should know who they are. But you could just go on Google. You don't have to tell anyone. So yes, we can help you amplify your voice. Well, thank you, Kathy, for coming today. And I'm just wondering, where can people get more information?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. I have a Facebook group, and it's just titled Waiver Reimagine. So if you are on Facebook, you go on there and just search Waiver Reimagine. It'll pop up, and just request to join.
Okay. So it's called Waiver Reimagine, and you can just join it or request to join, and then you'll be approved by an admin, right? Because it's not open.
Right.
You got to be approved by an admin.
Right.
But there's a lot of really good people on there. And if you don't know that much and you still want to be involved, it's a great group to join. Everybody's very nice, and nobody cares if you don't have all the information. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We will put that information on our website as well. And if you're on the fence about whether to join the Facebook group, please just join. Nobody knows everything in the disability community. There's too many things to know and too many acronyms. And we will love to have new people join us and fight for equity. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Boldly Challenging Ableism is a co-production of AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and the Institute on Community Integration at the University of Minnesota. For more information, please visit ici.umn.edu.